Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today, I'm in Taipei in Taiwan. We're in the Daan district to be precise, and we're going to check out this place behind me. So this one is Taihu Brewing's Daan district bar. The original bar was in this district, but it closed a few years ago. It was in the Sogo Mall from what I understand. So this is kind of their oldest location at the time of filming, which is August 2024. So yeah, down the stairs they've got their bodega bar as well, and both of these places look very, very nice. We're very close to the Zhongxiao Fuxing MRT station. Take exit 3 and you'll get here in like 2 minutes. But yeah, it looks like a nice venue, this one. So we'll do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll have a walk around, we'll try some of the beers, we'll try some of the food as well, and we'll just see how we get on. So let's do this one. Definitely cool to visit Taihu Brewing and do my first out and about video here in Taiwan. Let's get started. Alright guys, so let's have a little walk around then. This is the entrance that I was just standing outside a little minute ago. But you can see a little bit of the streets of Taipei here. Of course, you've got a family mart across the road and things like that for your drunk snacks on the way home if you need them. But yeah, like I said, the Zhongxiao Fuxing station is just literally round the corner there. But yeah, as I say, cool to be back in Taipei after like 10 years or so. So this is the entrance to the Taihu tasting room here. You can't see it because of the family mart reflection there, but the bodega bar is just down the stairs there, but you can also get at it from inside. So when you come in, it's kind of cool. On the floor they've got the Taihu tiger to greet you, which I thought was really, really cool. But yeah, it's a really nice setup here. So you can see if you go up to this door at the side, this is the main bar and things. They don't really have a tap list though. They've just got a few things here on the menu. So yeah, mosey downstairs for stiff cocktails by Paul & Co and things, Neon Life Imperatives and stuff. Then over there you can see Taihu Life Goals, having a good time, drinking good beer, hanging with good people, so we can agree with that. You can see their lines and stuff over there as well, which are pretty cool. But yeah, a bit unusual, for me at least, to have a big set of taps like this without the beers listed above it, but of course you have the menu, so it doesn't make much of a difference. But yeah, you can see the area is really, really very nice. So if you go down these stairs, of course, this is the way to the bathroom and the bodega bar. Might see if we can have a mosey down there later, but yeah, I have been down here. You can see the merch and stuff here too. We'll look at that closely a little bit later on. But then I've been filming over here, so yeah, this is the first beer that you are going to see reviewed in just a second. So there you are. Right guys, time for our first tasting then here at Taihu Brewing Daan. So yeah, as we often do in these videos, I decided that I would start out with something just light and drinkable. You know, it's always good to go from, say, lager up to like imperial stout. You work from the lighter end of the spectrum to the darker end of the spectrum. So yeah, the first beer on the list was called Draft High, 5% lager. They're describing it as a Taiwanese lager with the warm weather outside. You know, I figured this was a really good one to start with. So the funny thing is, this beer, it was sold only in one size, 600 millilitres. So it's even bigger than an imperial pint from the UK, which is like 568 millilitres. But you know, I'm going to have no problem drinking this. But I have to say, I love the glass, the golden tiger, the symbol of Taihu Brewing is great. But you can see the beer, when it poured, it had a lovely kind of fluffy white head on it. You can see pale kind of golden straw colour to this one. Quite a lot of visible carbonation. It looks great. It looks very, very nice. Pretty much what you would expect from you know, a lager beer, if you like. So it's obviously going to be like a Helles lager or a Pilsner or something like this. We'll need to see as we taste the thing, so we don't really have any more information on it really. But yeah, looks the part. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put in will affect it too. But you don't often have to care about that with lager beers. beers. Normally with lager beers, it's all about just the malt types and things like that. But yeah, it looks really, really nice, this one, I have to say, and kind of what you would expect. So let's have a wee look at the nose on this one and just see what it's all about. Yeah, aroma-wise, it comes across very much like a German Helles, which is great. I used to live in Germany, love the Helles beer style, and that's where my love for it really grew. So, the backbone of this beer, you can smell that lovely sort of fresh, white ready bread crust in there. Yeah, lovely kind of fresh white ready bread crust. A little bit of cracker, a little bit of woodiness as you'd often expect. Fluffy, well actually I'd maybe say there's a little bit of a sweeter wholemeal brown bread in there, which is nice. You've got some fluffy white bread as well. Yeah, definitely some nicer fluffy white bread coming out of this one. And it has a little bit of dryness to it as well. The reason I say this one smells like a Helles rather than a Pilsner malt is that it doesn't have much of that really dry, crisp Pilsner malty type stuff in the top of the nose. It's actually a lot more soft and bready, which makes me think German Helles lager. So remember, the main definition of a lager beer is that it's a beer that ferments at lower temperatures using bottom fermenting yeast, and usually the fermentation times are a bit longer, of course, and these styles are very popular in Germany and the Czech Republic, and you can see why they're popular in places like Taiwan because of the weather and things. You want something light and drinkable, and this beer offers you that, I'm sure. There's definitely a little bit of sweetness to this one though. You have a wee bit of that kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity quality to it, a little bit of a kind of oily, sweet, caramelly note as well. Yeah, aroma-wise, the malty side of things is exactly what you'd expect. Maybe a bit more crackery and ready notes from the yeasty side of things. But yeah, on top of the malty side of things, you've got the hoppy character here, and it smells like German noble hops. You've got that typical, smooth earthiness in there, little light herbal character, wee touch of floral aromaticity, but that fresh, grassy note there, and it's the smoothness of the likes of Hallertau and Tet Nang that really give you that kind of German quality to these beers. I think that's definitely fair to say. Yeah, nose on this one is very, very nice, I have to say. On the fruity side of things, it's kind of what you'd expect. You've got a little bit of, like oily pear in there, a little touch of apricot, maybe a little bit of like sultana and gooseberry. As I say, these are all things you'd expect from this beer style. But yeah, I'm very curious to try this one and see what it's all about. So this one is simply called Draft High. It probably has a Chinese name next to it as well, but my Chinese is really not very good. So we'll call it Draft High, 5% ABV, Taiwanese lager. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers, Ganbei. That is nice. That's a solid lager beer, this one. When I think about it compared to what I've had in Germany or the Czech Republic where this style originates, I think, obviously the Helles is from Germany, the Schweppli is the Czech equivalent. This one is that little bit wetter, and it adds a bit more refreshment to the beer, which again in the kind of tropical weather that you have in Taiwan is what you need, so definitely. But this is solid stuff actually, just a nice easy drinking beer, very good place to start or a very good place to go if you want some nice refreshment, so it's going to deliver you that, so thumbs up to them there. Backbone of the beer, you've got more of a kind of brown bready bread crust that I'm getting out of this. Further forward on that middle third of your palate, you're getting a wee bit of woodiness in there, some cracker above that as well. Yeah, it's got some, pardon me, it's got some really, really nice, it's got some really nice kind of greenier brown bread underneath, then a lighter kind of fluffier but slightly dry white bread above that. I don't think, if there's Pilsner malt in this one, it's very, very minimal. Like at the back of that middle 30 pallet, there's maybe just a little touch of Pilsner malty dryness. But above that, a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit, wee touch of sweetness in the middle of your palate too. It's nice. On the back 30 pallet, you've got all those bready flavours there. You've got a wee bit of yeastiness to this one as well. So it's more of a slightly brown bready character in the middle, white bread around the edge, and a bit more crackery at the very edge, of course. But yeah, that yeastiness is there on the back 30 pallet. As I always say, back 30 pallet, the flavour's taller, then it condenses down into the middle 30 pallet. So, hoppy side of things then. Hoppy side of the beer is kind of what I would expect. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. Then as you move further forward, it's got a little bit of a herbal character, and as you push further and further forward, it gets gradually more sort of floral and aromatic, and that is really, really nice in this one. So yeah, I like that about this beer for sure. And as you get that a little bit of spice out of it into the aftertaste as well. Maybe there's a wee bit of Czech hop in this one, like Czech Zaps, Žatec, something like that. But around the front curve of the tongue, you've got a little bit of a lighter, more grassy sort of thing, and a wee touch of zestiness in there. That is really, really nice on that side of things. Let's look at the front 30 palate then, and the fruity side of the beer. So you've got that bready character underneath, and then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll the way out of the beer. So let's have a little look at those. So yeah, fruity side of the beer, for me, it's kind of what you'd expect. At the back of the front 30 palate, there's a little bit of like sultana, a little bit of sultana in there, kind of a little bit of apricot as you reach the middle of that front 30 palate, a bit of oily pear as well, and as you go into the front half of the front 30 of your tongue, it's got a little touch of like almost limey character underneath. Could be a little bit of Equinault or Motueka or something. I'm more inclined to say Equinault in honesty. But then yeah, there's a little touch of like a very slight fresh green apple to this one. But these are all things you would expect. Maybe a bit of gooseberry into the aftertaste as well. These are all things you would expect from this beer style in its flavour profile. But it's really, really nicely done. So it gets a big thumbs up from me, this one. Really, really nicely done lager beer, this one. But like a slightly wetter version of a German Helles, which suits the weather here, of course. So yeah. On the mouthfeel, light-bodied, carbonation gives you a good little bit of crispness. Quite wet but slightly oily mouthfeel as well. And yeah, the malt character, a little bit dry underneath, smooth in the middle, very slight sweetness on top. Then you've got some nice, slightly oily, fruity character into the aftertaste. But as I say, a very light, very refreshing beer, this one, and a very nice place to start here at Taihu Brewing. So yeah, let's leave it for that one. This was the Draft Thai 5% Taiwanese lager. Let's go on to something else. I'll catch you guys in just a second. Cheers. Alright guys, well let's have a little look then at the beer list here at Taihu Brewing's tasting room in Daan. So yeah, they've got 18 taps as far as I can see, 6 guest taps, and then they've got 12 of their own beers, and of course it's their own beers that I'm most interested in, to be honest. So yeah, up here you can see the Taihu Tiger is sitting watching over you, but I did like how they have the ABV down as the rowdy rate and the price is the burn rate. But just so you have a little bit of a reference for the price, I calculated that £1 sterling is roughly 40 new Taiwan dollars, so yeah, something like that. But yeah, 240 I think it was new Taiwan dollars translates to about £6 sterling, so that's about 60 Hong Kong dollars, somewhere in the region of like €6.50, $7 American. So you've got an idea of different currencies for the smaller beer, and then the larger beer, the 600 milliliter one, the 340 Hong Kong dollars translates to roughly £8 sterling, 80 Hong Kong dollars, maybe about €8.50, €8.80, something like that, maybe nearer €9, and probably about $9.50 American for the bigger one. So you can see the prices for these beers are quite similar. It's even the ones that are higher in ABV. The higher ABV ones are actually cheaper for some reason. But yeah, that's just kind of how it goes. So yeah, you can see the first beer on the list is the Draft High Taiwanese Lager, which we reviewed a second ago. They've got an IPA in there, the Long Island Iced Beer, which is a really interesting one. I had that years ago. I think that's the only beer I've reviewed from this brewery on the channel that hasn't been part of a collaboration. The Passion Fruit Hurricane, which is a fruity ale, the Chempel Goza, which that one sounds like it could be quite local and quite quirky if you like, so I'll need to ask them about that. But they've got a Bright Ale, I'm not sure what that is, the Thai Lemongrass Beer at 5.5% ABV, the Old Sport Pale Ale, which I think sounds really nice and really old school. I'm very keen to try that one. The Taihu Young Master Fruited Goza, which I'm tempted to try because of my Hong Kong connection. The HFG Mosaic IPA, 6.5% ABV, that sounds good as well. An English Bitter at 5%, then the Raspberry Lemonade, which is an Imperial Berliner Weisse, and that sounds very, very good to me. But yeah, their guest tabs today, they've got things from Single Hill, Banks, Coronado, Range in Australia, the brewery as well. So yeah, those are obviously a little bit more expensive, but the smaller ones not by that much, in honesty, which is quite interesting. But yeah, let's flip this over and have a wee look at the other side. Alright guys, time for tasting number 2 then here at Taihu Tasting Room Daan. So yeah, I asked about a few of the pale ales and IPAs and stuff like this and which one was recommended, and they recommended me their signature IPA, so I'm curious about this one. So it is simply just called Taihu IPA. It comes in at 6% ABV, and by the look of it, I think this one is going to be an old school sort of West Coast IPA. So when the beer poured, it had about a finger of a frothy, I would have said kind of cream coloured head there, and you can see the colour of this one. It's a little bit more kind of pale and sort of straw yellow leaning, I would say. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation, and it does have a little touch of a natural haze to it. So yeah, when I say sort of West Coast IPA, some of the technical things about this style are that these tend to use just barley malt in the malt base, sometimes a little bit of wheat, sometimes a little bit of oat. Not that common, I would say, whereas the New England IPAs use barley, oat and wheat almost all the time. And yeah, these beers are of course a little bit more kind of bitter because of early edition hopping, in addition to late edition and dry hopping, of course. So yeah, those are the technical things when it comes to the West Coast IPA. When it comes to the West Coast IPA as well, I think there's two ways this beer can lean. They can be a little bit more oily and sort of caramelly, if you like. They can also be a little bit more kind of bready and biscuity. Going by the colour of this one, I think it's going to lean more toward the bready and biscuity end of the spectrum, but we'll just need to see. But appearance-wise, it certainly kind of looks as you would expect from a sort of West Coast IPA. So let's have a little look at the nose on this one then and see how we go with it. That smells really nice, and it comes across as very familiar as well. I think this one, it's using some of the old school hops in it, maybe a little bit of Nelson Sauvignon, Citra, Mosaic, something like that, because it does smell very, very familiar. Yeah, but it gives you everything you would want from this style. So you've got a lovely little bit of like a fresh kind of white bready bread crust in there. A little bit of cracker, a little bit of wood. Yeah, a little bit of cracker, a little bit of wood. Some kind of sweet brown bread in there. A little bit of white bread as well. Above that, you've got quite a little bit of sweetness out of this beer as well. There's some toasty brown sugar in there, some sweeter, more oily caramel as well. Yeah, oily sweet caramel, McVitie's digestive biscuit. The malty backbone in this beer is actually quite sweet in all honesty, and I like that in a West Coast sort of IPA. The yeasty side of the beer, little touch bready, a little bit more kind of brown bready, I would say, and a wee bit of cracker and things. But the malty backbone of this beer is really, really nice. So, yeah, hoppy side of things then. Green component in this one is really nicely done as well. There's a little bit of earthiness in there. There's a little bit of herbal character. You've got some nice floral aromaticity, some oily, grassy character as well, I would say. Yeah, the way that all of that pieces together, I think, is really, really nice in this one. As I said, West Coast IPAs tend to use more early edition hopping, which gives you mostly your bitterness and a kind of deeper, danker flavour and aroma. Late edition hopping, of course, gives you a little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, and a kind of brighter green component to your beer. Then dry hopping is all about flavour and aroma, and that gives you a brighter green component with flavour and aroma as well. West Coast IPAs use all three types of hopping. New England IPAs tend to rely mainly on late edition and dry hopping, just for the technicalities. But yeah, the fruity side of this beer, as I say, it comes across as very familiar. There's quite a lot of juicy mango in this one, a little bit of passion fruit, quite a lot of apricot and pineapple as well, juicy orange, bit of like, I want to say there's some kind of white green grapey notes in there, a little bit of gooseberry. I think there's some Nelson Sauvin in this. I've got a feeling this is something quite familiar, like maybe Citra, Galaxy, Mosaic, Nelson Sauvin. Got a feeling it could be the hop bill on this one could be something like that, because it just comes across as very, very familiar. So yeah, I'm really, really curious to see how this one is going to turn out actually. But yeah, this is the Taihu IPA, 6% ABV. Let's have a taste of this and see how we go. Slange, skål, cheers, Gambe. That's nice. This is proper old school. I miss beers like this. So, thumbs up to Taihu once again. And of course, they are recommending me their signature beers. You know, the kind of must-tries. I need to think about the other ones I want to try. I want to try one of the sour beers, of course, as well, because Taihu have become quite well known for their kind of more adjuncty sort of beers. But, yeah, this is great. Backbone of the beer, lovely kind of fresh brown bready bread crust in there. A little bit of woody character as well. Good little bit of Jacob's cream cracker. Yeah. Nice little bit of Jacob's cream cracker. Above that, you get some sweet brown bready character in there, a fluffier white bread as well. Then on top of that, you start to get the kind of brown sugary notes out of the beer. So there's a little bit of a kind of toasty caramelly note to it, for sure. In the centre of your palate, you get that more oily circle there, where it's a bit toasty underneath, lovely oily sweet caramel, like I said. And then you also have just a little bit of boozy caramel in the middle of your palate too, so that's really, really nice. That is good. I'm going to enjoy this one for sure. So, yeah, on the malty side of things, I think that's everything we need to say. But the yeasty side of the beer, on the back third of your palate, it's got a little bit more brown bready character to it, a bit more kind of in the centre, it's like an oily sweet brown bread, a bit more grainy around the edge, and then more bread crusty. But yeah, the way that all of this pieces together, I think, is really, really nice. And as I say, it gets a big thumbs up from me. So on the hoppy side of things, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there on the green component. I think mosaic, I'm pretty sure there's mosaic in this, but as you move further forward, it's a little touch herbal, and as you push further forward than that, it's got a little bit more kind of floral aromaticity to it, maybe a little touch of pine resin underneath, but around the front curve of the tongue, it's certainly lighter, more grassy, and a little bit more sort of oily as well. So yeah, a little bit zesty too, which I think is very nice. Let's look at the front third of your palate then. So yeah, the fruity side of the beer for me, as I said, it comes across as being like really familiar. At the back of that front third of your palate, there's a little bit of kind of more punchy grapefruit, which makes me think Citra or Galaxy. As you move further forward, you get a little bit of peach, so I'm pretty sure there's Citra in this. But then, yeah, more of an oily, juicy kind of mango character. As you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, a little bit of like apricot underneath, maybe a bit of oily pineapple as well. The pineapple makes me think Galaxy too, and the kind of pungency of these flavours makes me think, yeah, Citra and Galaxy in this one. But as you move into the front half of that front third of your palate, you can feel the base gives you a little bit more of that gooseberry, white-green grapey sort of thing. So yeah, gooseberry, white-green grapey kind of character in there, and then yeah, on top of that you've got a more oily, tangerine orange sort of note. Though the zestiness that you get out of the orange is quite interesting. I could have believed that there was a little bit of, I could have been led to believe that there was a little bit of an Amarillo quality to this one because of the oiliness and the zestiness. But yeah, I think with the earthiness you get, that's most likely to be Mosaic. But all in all, lovely, a lovely West Coast IPA, this one. I'm going to enjoy drinking the rest of this and just relaxing a little bit. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, mid-bodied, carbonation's got a good degree of crispness to it, lovely oily mouthfeel, but still quite clean and quite crisp as well, which is what you want in this Taiwanese weather. The malt base is a bit of dryness underneath, smoothness in the middle, the sweetness on top, and then yeah, you've got that lovely oily fruity character coming out of this one. But all in all, lovely beer, this one, and I'm glad that I got to try this. So yeah, that's it. The Taihu IPA, one of their signature beers, our second beer. I think we'll maybe do 2 more tastings while we're here, and we need to try out some of the food as well. So I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. But this is definitely worth trying if you want an old school West Coast IPA. Cheers. Yeah guys, so as you saw just briefly earlier, out in the little corridor, they have all the Taihu Brewing merch. So you can of course get yourself a water bottle here, which in the Taiwanese weather you probably need if you're as white as me. But yeah, you can see all the different glasses and things there, which look very, very nice. Might need to get one of those as a souvenir. Not sure if this thing's for sale, but you see these all over the place. But yeah, some of the big bottles of beer here as well. You've got your old growler as well, which is quite nice. The Taihu Brewing t-shirt, the tiger of course. I love Taihu Brewing's branding, their label is very, very cool. But you can get yourself a sweatshirt. Not going to need that in this Taiwanese weather, I have to say. Yeah, you can get your t-shirt, beer t-shirt, a white t-shirt, which is probably good, but make sure you wear an under t-shirt so it doesn't get all sweaty and things. But yeah, you can see they've got a few other special beers here as well, and you can get your kind of well, it's not really a tote bag, that one, but you can get that. But yeah, really nice little selection of merchandise here at Taihu Brewing Daan. Alright guys, well let's have a little look then here at the food menu at Taihu Tasting Room Daan. So yeah, you can see they've got a wide variety of different things. They've got New York snacks, Taipei snacks, the stack burgers and the speciality. So just for a price reference, £1 sterling is roughly 40 new Taiwan dollars, something like that. So yeah, if you want to go at it the other way, 100 new Taiwan dollars is something like £2.50, maybe €3, $3.50 American, something like that. So that gives you a rough idea of the prices of things here. But yeah, on the New York City style snacks, they've got shoestring fries, chicken tenders, buffalo wings, calamari fritti, grilled broccoli, stacked nachos. All of them sound pretty good, but I'm tempted by the fries and the chicken tenders probably. On the Taipei side, they've got salted egg chips, chicken cartilage, Sichuan wings, Sichuan dumplings, braised pork rice. Those two sound the most attractive to me, but then they've got some sesame noodles down there as well. And again, prices are pretty good. You're talking maybe just like between you know, £5, £5 or £6 for some of these, so that's not bad. Down here you've got the burgers, the OG stack, and then you can get some variants on that as well. The chicken stack for 300, the fish stack as well, and some different sides. Then over here they've got the speciality, the mac and cheese, the Fool's noodle, and grilled cheese. So all of these sound pretty good. Let's just kind of flip it over because there's a nice graphic on the other side. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 3 then here at Taihu Tasting Room Daan. So yeah, for beer number 3 I thought we would move on to something a little bit more sour and fruity, because that's what this brewery is really known for. So beer number 3 is called the Passion Fruit Hurricane. It comes in at 9.99% ABV, and they're just describing this one simply as a fruity ale. So yeah, it looks pretty good actually. I just got a smaller one of this because we are going to do one more beer a bit later on, but when this beer poured it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would have said kind of cream coloured head. You can see as well they have put some ice in this one as well, which is quite interesting because I don't think I've ever had a beer served with ice in these out and about videos that I've done before, so that in itself makes this one a little bit of a novelty. But you can see lovely kind of mango passion fruit yellow colour for this one, which is what you'd expect. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation, but yeah, I have to say certainly very curious about the fact that this beer is served with ice. So yeah, let's take a little look at the nose on this one and see how we go. The appearance isn't anything that really surprises me when you consider what this beer is. So yeah, straight away with this one, it comes across as being a little bit of a kind of kettle sour. You know, you've got a little bit of that sharper fruity sort of note to it, lovely sort of smooth kind of bready kind of notes as well. Yeah, it's pretty much like fruit juice, the aroma, in all honesty. So yeah, I think this is going to be quite interesting. I feel it's going to be one of these sours that's well, they say fruited ale. Don't know whether it's going to be sour. I'm just so used to talking about fruited sours on the channel these days that maybe I've jumped the gun and said this is a fruited sour. But yeah, in all, the aroma is very nice, very straightforward. But quite often with fruited beers and fruited sours and stuff like this, they're quite simple in terms of their flavour profile and aromas and stuff like this. But if they're done well, they can be very, very nice. So yeah, aroma-wise with this one, it's kind of what you'd expect. You've got a little bit of fresh kind of white bready bread crust in there, little touch of like brown bread and stuff, but it's more kind of it's really got a sort of kind of yogurty backbone to it, this one, which I really, really enjoy, in fact. So yeah, lovely kind of yogurty sort of backbone in here. Yeah, like Petit Filou, Munch Bunch sort of yogurty kind of character in there. It reminds me of the yogurts my mum used to give me when I was a little boy going to school. So yeah, Petit Filou, fromage frais kind of thing. A little bit of vanilla, of course, within that, but like a kind of yogurty type note. There's a little touch of like Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch, you know, out of it, which you would expect at the ABV that's involved with this beer. But yeah, you've got a little bit of that, so it's a Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch, wee bit of straight up caramel, little touch of biscuit in there. Yeah, all in all, the way this one goes together, I think, is really, really nice. With this beer, there's quite obviously no hops added into this. As I've said on the channel many times before, when it comes to sour beers, you've got a bit of a thing to think about when it comes to hops. You know, a lot of the old school styles like Lambics and Flanders Reds and stuff like this, they used to add old hops into them so that the alpha acid potency didn't take away from the sour beer, because obviously that would have dropped off. But with modern sour beers, a lot of breweries just aren't adding them in because they feel the fruity adjuncts just suppress that green component anyway. So yeah, there's a little bit of that going on there. There's some grassy notes in there, some floral notes, a little bit of earthiness. So yeah, the way that all of that goes together, I think, is quite interesting. This one, you've got a little bit of this grassy, woody, floral kind of placebo note coming out of it, and a little bit earthy, a little bit woody, a little bit herbal, but yeah, grassy and floral kind of placebo notes in there. And yeah, the juicy fruity character in this beer I think is really interesting too. For me, there's a little bit of apricot, of course, there's a little bit of like pineapple, but the majority of the fruity character in this beer is passion fruit. That's why it's called Passion Fruit Hurricane. So as I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beers before you get stuck into them. But I think this one could be very, very interesting. So yeah, let's have a taste of this then and see what it's all about, because I am very curious. So 9.99% ABV, I think this will be very interesting. Slàinte, cheers, Gambe. That's really good. I will say straight away, it's dangerously drinkable for it's dangerously drinkable for a 9.99%er. That's just crazy, to be quite honest. Yeah. You could get very drunk on this very, very easily. It is more like a kind of boozy fruit juice or something like this. It's just ridiculously easy to drink. Yeah, that is dangerous. Like I said though, very straightforward in terms of its flavour profile, but it works. The backbone of the beer, you've got a little bit of that kind of fresh, white bready bread crust in there, a little touch of woodiness of course, a little bit of cracker and things, but yeah, above that you get a bit of sweet white bread, and then it's all about this kind of petit filou, fromage-free, yogurty type character. It's really, really nice. Yeah. Above the sort of yogurty layer in this one, I wonder if there's a little bit of oat in this, because you have a little bit of this kind of creamy, oaty type note coming out of the beer. And the way that goes together again is just very, very nice. It's got it's got this sort of creamy vanilla oaty milkshakey type character in there. Oh, my food just arrived. She said thank you. I'll show you that in a little minute. So yeah, you've got this lovely creamy oaty sort of character in there, which is great. And then in the dead centre of your palate, you've got a little bit of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch. And obviously, with this beer being like 10% ABV, that's to kind of be expected. So the malty side of this beer is great. The yeasty side of things at the back of the palate, it gives you a wee bit of it's more like a kind of sweet dry yogurt, a bit of like dry sweet white brown bready character in there with a sort of yogurty note to it. There's not too much to say about that in honesty. The whole yogurty vibe that this beer has goes throughout the whole thing. In terms of the green component with this one, it's a little bit earthy, it's a little bit herbal, but it is obviously placebo effect. You can tell from the smoothness on the side of your palate with this beer that there's no hop added into this. But as you get further forward, you do get a little bit more floral aromaticity and a little bit of grassiness and a wee bit of zestiness in there. And as I say, all of that goes together really, really nicely. And you can feel the passion fruit adjunct in this one just suppressing that green component of the beer as well. So that is really, really interesting in this one. But yeah, this is beautiful. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. All three of the beers that we've tried so far have been great, but this kind of thing is, I would say, what this brewery is a little bit better known for. This is at least what I would think of when I hear Taihu Brewing. I think of these big kind of fruity, slightly sour, juicy beers. But yeah, on the front third of your palate with the fruity side of things, There's the passion fruit is of course the dominant factor there, but you've got wee bits of apricot, very slight oily pear, maybe a little bit of pineapple and things too, and sort of sultana flavours as well. But all in all, the fruity side of this beer is really, really nice, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. This is lovely. Mouthfeel wise then, just to round off, yeah, it's pretty light bodied, this one. Top end light bodied. Carbonation is almost non-existent in this one. Lovely smoothness and a slight oily stiffness and juiciness to the beer. But yeah, the hoppy side of this one, as I say, there's virtually no IBU to this. If it has any, it'll be about 5 IBUs. And then yeah, you've got that lovely juicy fruity character to this one as well, and a slight sweetness and smoothness out of the malt base. That's lovely, this beer. I'd certainly, as I say, certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, but this is one of those beers that's going to fuck your day in the best way. Absolutely. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This was the Passion Fruit Hurricane, probably our penultimate beer here at Taihu Tasting Room in Daan. So I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers just now, but try this is great. Just another little random thing, I have to say I love the Taihu Brewing coasters, so if you come here to visit, maybe you want to snag one or two of these. Alright guys, so I decided to order some food and I didn't realise the size of things, so this is a little bit insane. So over here we've got the string fries, which look very, very good. Then here we've got the mac and cheese with the Mexican meat in it. We've got some chicken tenders as well, which look very good. And then we've got the pork braised rice. The pork is just underneath that egg you can see there. But this is something of a feast, so let's just get stuck in and see how all this food is, because it certainly looks very, very good. So yeah, let's do it. Alright guys, so as you saw a second ago, I got a shitload of food. I had no idea about the size of the portions and things. Didn't expect the fries to be quite as big as they were, but yeah, I think the fries is as good a place to start as any. So you can see these are very, very good. We'll take a couple of course, because we've got a few different sauces to have a little look at as well. So yeah, let's try the fries raw first and just see how we go. Yeah, on their own, these guys are really nice. Good mix of like salt and pepper, so it gives you that little bit of saltiness. And of course, you're in a beer bar, they want you to get a little bit thirsty and drink a little bit more, so makes sense, right? But yeah, really nice seasoning on these fries. You know, good mix of being crispy and soft, which is what you want of a fry. Let's try the sauces then. Ketchup first. Oh yeah, really nice, quite sweet, sort of tangy ketchup in fact. I often find with Asian ketchups, they just tend to be that very slightly more kind of spicy, and almost a little bit like mix of red and green pepper in there. So yeah, you can really taste that going on with this one. We've got a yellow sauce here, which I'm guessing is mustard. I'm not the greatest fan of mustard. Full disclosure before we try it. But yeah, it's okay. Say, not my favourite sauce, but just a slightly smooth, kind of spicy character out of that. Yeah, probably not going to have too much of that sauce. The ketchup is nicer for me. But, as I say, I really don't like mustards. But that is actually okay. So yeah, that's positive. So if you like mustard, you probably will like that one. This sauce here, I'm not sure exactly what this one is. It looks a bit like a kind of burger sauce to me, in all honesty. I think it might be some kind of chipotle mayo or something like that. And that's actually quite nice. So I think definitely some kind of mayonnaise base. As I say, a little bit of like chili chipotle kind of thing going on. But yeah. It has that kind of smoothness to it, but just that little bit of chili sort of spice. That's really nice. I think I'm going to enjoy that. I might have to have a little bit more of that as I finish off these fries, because to be honest there are a lot. I didn't expect the fries portion to be quite as big as it was. Very good value for money though, I will say. But yeah, let's have a little look at the chicken tenders then. So you can see here, really nicely cooked, nice and kind of crispy coating there. Reminds me of some of the Japanese tonkatsu cutlets and things that I've had, in all honesty. We've got two sauces for this one that I suspect is a ketchup, one I think is a kind of more dill sauce, but let's try it raw first. Oh, that's good. The chicken tender on its own is very, very nice. The chicken's like really juicy, really succulent. Yeah. That is really, really nice. So the American style food you're going to get here is pretty damn good. Let's try it with the sauce though. Maybe we'll try the white sauce first. We've got this white sauce here, which looks a little bit like a kind of dill mayonnaise or something. Oh, that is nice. I think, yeah, dill. Oh, I just dropped it in. Dill mayonnaise. Something like that. I'm not sure 100% exactly what this is, but as I say, it comes across like some sort of dill mayonnaise, and it's really nice, very, very good. Yeah, quite happy to sit and eat that. That white sauce is great. Yeah. Chicken tenders, I think you will like there. Really a good quality meat. Yeah, very, very happy with that. Let's have a look at it. I think this is just like ketchup or something. Yeah, I think that's the same ketchup that we had before. Again, that's really, really nice, but I have to admit, I think the white dill sauce and the mix of the chicken there is very, very good. So, one more dip of that to finish this one off. That's lovely. You guys are very much just watching me kind of stuff my face at the moment. So yeah, now we have the mac and cheese with the Mexican meat on it. Let me get a little bit of the pasta on its own without the meat, and we'll try that just on its own. So you can see, don't know if the camera's focusing on that so well, but the quality of the pasta is really good. I don't know if this is locally produced pasta or whatever, but we'll just try a little bit of the cheese sauce and the meat on it and the pasta on its own. Sorry. In honesty, the meat has kind of penetrated the cheese sauce almost, but the sauce on its own, the meat and the pasta and the mac and cheese itself is really, really good. You can feel that lovely kind of creamy cheese sauce. There's obviously a little bit of cheddar in there, but it's quite a sweet sort of cheddar, I would say. So let's just have a taste of this with the meat, because that's obviously how it was intended. There you can see a bit of the meat on the end there, and there's the pasta over the other side. So let's try this as it was intended rather than trying to separate the flavours. Oh yeah. That's really good. If you gave me a Mexican taco with this kind of meat in it, I would be very, very happy. It's got a nice mix of sweetness to it, and a lovely little bit of kind of bolognese kind of character to it. A little bit of spice into the aftertaste too. Great quality. I'm going to enjoy that for sure. Let's just take another little look. I just found one of the penny pastas. It's just a load of cheese sauce on the bottom of it here. Yeah. The cheese sauce in there is very, very nice. I'm going to enjoy that for sure. Probably the mac and cheese will be the thing that gets polished off first. We'll just wait and see. But let's have a little look at the braised pork and rice. So yeah, obviously, I don't know how well you guys can see that. So you've got the egg on top and the pork is underneath. So yeah, with me, what I tend to do with egg, I'm not a great fan of like sunny side up eggs. I actually like to mash these up a little bit and mix them in. So that's what we're going to do with this. We're going to just mix it up a little bit and just see what we get. Because yeah, that just works for me. I probably should have tried the ingredients on their own a little bit first, but yeah. So let me just try a wee bit. I've got a wee bit of the pork on the edge of my spoon there. Very soft pork, not really chewy at all. Just melts in your mouth almost. But they told me this was a really good local Taipei dish. It's interesting. Obviously, quite a lot of spring onion in this one, and the egg is mixed up in it. But yeah, the way that everything goes together on this is really nice. It's not so much a soy sauce; it's more like a kind of sweet Asian sauce of some description. Yeah, I've never quite come across a sauce quite like this one, but as I say, they did tell me it was quite unique in Taiwan. I'm not sure exactly what to say about this, but I like it. The meat is really good. The egg sort of gives you this kind of oily, viscousy sort of thing to it. And the pork itself, there's that little bit of pork once again. The pork just kind of breaks up on your tongue. So yeah, I will say I like this, but I'm just not familiar enough with it to describe exactly to you what's going on. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the food, but needless to say, I'm impressed with the quality of stuff here at Taihu, and this wasn't that expensive, £30 sterling for all three of these dishes, or all four of these dishes, sorry, so I'm happy enough with that. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. We'll have one more beer, then I think that will be the end of the video here, so I'll catch you guys in just a second with something else. Ciao just now. Alright guys, well, time for our fourth and final tasting then here at Taihu Tasting Room Daan. So the last beer that we're going to have a look at today is one that just really kind of caught my eye because of a drink in the US that I'm very much a fan of. So whenever I go to America, I love drinking pink lemonade, something you can't really get at home, and it's a little bit of a nostalgia trip for me because that's what I always used to drink when we went over to the US on family holidays. But on the menu here, I saw they had a beer called Raspberry Lemonade, and that's what we're going to look at now. So this one comes in at 8% ABV. They're calling it an Imperial Berliner Weisse, and I think it should be quite interesting. So yeah, when the beer poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would have said kind of creamy coloured head there. You can see that it has this lovely sort of pink burgundy type colour to it. I think on the camera it's appearing a little bit lighter to you guys than it actually is to the naked eye, but it has this sort of Heart of Midlothian football shirt type colour, as I would call it. So yeah, as I said earlier, a lot of the colour in these kind of beers is due to the fruity adjuncts, and this one obviously has raspberries in it, so the colour of this one is not particularly surprising. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, and you can see that it does have quite a high level of opacity to it, and when you consider that it's a Berliner Weisse and contains a lot of wheat, then that is to be expected in all honesty. So yeah, appearance-wise, nothing very, very surprising about this particular beer. So let's have a little look and see what this one has in store for us. Certainly quite a good-looking Berliner Weisse, I have to say. And to be honest, it's not all that often that you find an Imperial Berliner Weisse either. I mean, these beers are normally like 4-5% ABV. This one is 8, so I think this one should be a good treat. But let's look at the nose and see how we go. A little bit of an itchy nose. I think I got some salt up that earlier from the fries that I ate. But yeah, it smells absolutely beautiful. As I've often said with these kind of modern sour beers, very often the aroma profile and flavour profile of these beers is actually quite straightforward. But if they're done well, they can be beautiful, beautiful beers. And I have the impression just from that very quick whiff of this beer that I got, that is also going to be the case here. So It's lovely and juicy as well. Raspberries can be different from any country that you get them from. Scotland, of course, my home country, is very famous for its raspberries, and usually they're very sharp and very tart. If these ones are local Taiwanese raspberries, then they're very juicy and very soft actually, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, lovely, very soft, juicy raspberry note out of this one. You have, of course, got a little bit of that candied strawberry sort of thing in there. It reminds me of those Haribo strawberry sweets that you get, or the little hearts in Haribo Star Mix. You can certainly see that those being a good descriptor for this beer. But underneath that, of course, you do get the elements of Berliner Weisse that you expect. There's a lovely little bit of like a fresh white ready bread crust in there. You have, you've definitely got a little bit of a more brown bready, there's a little bit like sweet brown bread, sweet white bread in there. You can smell a little bit of that almost like creamy, slightly oaty character coming out of this one too, but there's a little bit of the wheaty bitiness, of course, in the top of the nose, which is something you do expect of a Berliner Weisse. A little bit of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch, and of course some of that yogurty, petit filou type note out of the beer as well. So again, malty side of this beer I think is really nice, but you can definitely smell that bigger presence of wheat and oat in this one compared to the passion fruit hurricane that we reviewed a little while ago actually. This one's like a proper sour beer, whereas the other one was more of a kind of fruited ale, I think. And this brewery, as I say, best known for the fruited ales and sour beers and stuff. So we're getting to try both ends of the fruity spectrum from these guys, I guess you could say. But aroma-wise, this is lovely. Green component, you've got a little touch of smooth earthiness in there, a little bit of herbal character, some nice floral notes as well, and that little bit of grassiness, but of course all of that is kind of suppressed. If there's any hops in this beer, which would be like Hallertau or Tettnang or something, that is definitely being suppressed by the addition of the raspberries in this beer. That's very, very clear in this one, we can certainly say that. The fruity side of this beer is really, really interesting for sure. But as I say, big juicy raspberries in there. You get a little bit of tartness, but of course you've got little bits of blackcurrant, maybe a little touch of fig, and that sort of candied strawberry character coming out of this one. So the way that this beer goes together, I think, is really, really nice actually. So I don't know if there's anything else we can really say about the aroma of this one. I think it's best if we just try this beer and see how we go. So this is Raspberry Lemonade, an 8% Imperial Berliner Weisse, my last beer here at Taihu Tasting Room in Daan. Slange, skål, cheers, Gambe. I'll tell you something. This beer, it's a lot more kind of lemony and tart than the aroma would have you believe. It actually just smells like juicy raspberry in the aroma. The whole lemonade side of the beer is quite hidden in that aroma. So I actually thought it was just going to be more of a kind of creamy, smooth Berliner Weisse, which it is into the aftertaste. But that lemonade character in this one is just is very different, but I think it's really good. This beer gets a big thumbs up for me. This is something quite different to pretty much everything we've reviewed on the channel in recent times. Very, very unique beer, this one, but quite glad I got the chance to try this. So, that's absolutely lovely. Really good stuff. Yeah, let's just try and break this down then and describe it for you a bit more in depth. The backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely, smooth, red crusty character in there. A little bit of woodiness, a little bit of cracker, of course, as you would expect. But the bready backbone of this beer is really thick, really smooth, and almost quite creamy. So there's brown bread in there, there's white bread, you can feel the denser wheat above that. And then yeah, you start to get like a sort of oaty creaminess out of the beer and a little bit of sweetness in there. Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch. Yeah, the way that all of that goes together, I think, is really, really nice in this one. Yeah. It's got a little bit of an almost like Skittles flavour in the middle of the palate too, which is quite interesting. So, yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, is really, really nice. So, yeah, on the back third of your palate, then the yeasty side of this beer, it's getting a bit loud in here now. I don't know how well you guys are going to hear it. The microphone's pretty good though. But yeah, on the back third of your palate, you get the same flavours that I've just talked about. The yeasty side of things is a little bit more kind of brown bready and white bready and stuff like that. Yeah. It's got a little bit of crackery note to it as well, definitely. Back third of the palate, the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward, it gets a little bit more kind of condensed and squashed down a little bit. But yeah, hoppy side of things, I don't think there's hops in this beer. It feels too smooth. There's maybe a little touch of earthy herbal note in there. As you move further forward, a little bit of floral aromaticity, a little bit of grassiness. You know, the more I go into the aftertaste, I think there might be a little bit of hop in there, but if there is, it's very suppressed by the raspberry and the sort of lemonade notes that go into this one. I would be very curious to know how they've got the lemon character out of this one, if they've used a little bit of like lemon flavour essence or have mixed up like a lemonade solution, a Minute Maid lemonade solution or something like that. That would be quite interesting to know. But yeah, the fruity side of the beer then, let's round off with that. Yeah. On top of the fruity side of this beer, like on the front third of your palate, you've got all the bready notes there. You can feel that sort of lemonade-y, American lemonade note just forming the base. On top of that, of course, you're getting little bits of candied strawberry, little bits of blackcurrant, little bits of, how would you say, little bits of like fig or something like that. But then, yeah, of course, you get the tartness of the raspberries when you take the beer in. But like I say, it's quite a smooth and juicy raspberry for me. Yeah, it's really nice how that goes together in this one actually. But yeah, when they say raspberry lemonade, they mean raspberry lemonade. And the further you go into the aftertaste, you get that big, smooth, sort of creamy Berliner Weisse background to this one. So mouthfeel-wise, for me, bottom end of full-bodied, smooth carbonation, almost a big, thick, kind of creamy mouthfeel out of it. The malt base, like we said, smoothness underneath, smoothness in the middle, a little bit of a drier sweetness on top, juicy fruity character in there, a little bit of a sour impact in this one. All in all, just a really nice drinkable beer, this one. But the sourness, I think, is coming from the lemonade aspect of this beer. This is a really interesting one, and I'm glad I got the chance to try this. I'm going to enjoy sipping on the rest of it, but that is definitely my final beer here at Taihu Tasting Room. So yeah, music's getting a little bit loud and things in here because we're getting into the evening now. So I think I'm going to clear out and leave it at that. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this this tasting, and I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. So catch you in just a little minute. Cheers. So yeah guys, if you come downstairs you'll see they have this bar as well. So this is Bodega, where they do cocktails and things. Maybe we need to have a little look at some of the cocktails and see what they are. So yeah, you come round here, This is really cool. You come here, you can see all the different license plates and things. Then here, a bunch of different beer cans and things from all over the place. Lots and lots of different breweries. Some that I recognize, some that I don't. And then over here, you've got some different vinyls as well, which is kind of cool. Then, of course, you've got a dinosaur. So, yeah, this is really cool actually. A little bit of baseball as well, which is obviously very popular in Taiwan. So yeah, I'll have a little look at the menu and see what they have. But yeah, this is the bodega bar in the basement here at Taihu Tasting Room Daan. Alright guys, well that is the end of my time then here at Taihu Brewing's tasting room in Daan here in Taipei. I just noticed that at the door they had this tiger, and I thought this would be a really nice background for the kind of outro part of the video. But yeah, I had a really nice couple of hours here. I got chatting to a couple from Seattle over in the US, now based in New York, so it was quite cool to chat to them about their local beer scenes, and also some guys from Singapore, so that was a really interesting conversation as well. But yeah, we got to try 4 beers. We tried the lager and the IPA, both of which I was really impressed with actually. Something a little bit more conventional. Of course, Taihu Brewing is really known for their kind of fruited and sort of sour beers outside of Taiwan, but then we got to try 2 of those at the end of the video as well, which was great. So really impressed with all 4 beers that we tried. The staff here were great, they were really nice, they gave me recommendations for the food and for the beer, which I was really happy about. And yeah, the food itself was good as well. I mean, we had chicken tenders, we had fries, we had mac and cheese, and we also had this braised pork thing with rice, which was really good as well. So a good mix of Western and local Taiwanese food. So all in all, very, very happy with my experience. In total, I spent 2,100 new Taiwan dollars. So that's about £62.50, maybe about 70 euros, $75 American, something like that. So for the amount of stuff that I had, I thought that was pretty decent actually. So yeah, very, very happy with my time here then at Taihu Brewing's tasting room in the Daan district in Taipei. So I would recommend that you come and check it out. From what the guys told me, this is the kind of oldest location that they currently have. The original bar that they had was just a little while away. So yeah, definitely cool to visit them here, and I had a great time. So come and check them out. I hope you guys have enjoyed this out and about video. As always, check out my social media, check out their social media, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao just now. Cheers.